City Council meeting. Tonight is Tuesday, May the 4th, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. We'll go ahead and get started. If Mr. Councilman John Milling, if you'll say the prayer for us.
Thank you. Let's bow. Dear Father, we come together tonight for the purpose of seeking your will as we try to deal with the affairs and businesses, matters that are necessary and needed by the citizens of this fine town. Father, we come from different walks of life, but we all have the same goal, and that is to do the best for the citizens. Be with us in our deliberations. Let us keep these goals in mind, for we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Stand up and pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have a motion for approval of the minutes for the City Council meeting from April 13th, 2021.
I'll motion we approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor? All right, Mrs. Becker? Thank you. All right, all passed, thank you. Do we have a motion for approval of the meeting? Do we need to go do the amendment? Okay, before we do the approval for the meeting for the agenda tonight, we had we need a motion to amend the agenda for the meeting tonight. Number one, we need to add garbage bids for Alex Gainey. Also, first reading ordinance 2021-08, flood damage prevention ordinance. Vote to amend the agenda for this item for Sheila Jones. And also amend RFQ for ball fields for Mr. Lee Andrews is to move him up to the front for the unfinished business. Do we have a motion to amend the agenda for tonight?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to amend the agenda to move Mr. Lee Andrews with respect to the RFQ for ball fields to item number 1 to be dealt with, and to add the garbage bids that Mr. Gainey has provided for us, as well as the first reading ordinance 2021-08 flood damage prevention ordinance, with these two items to fall in line as a part of item number 7.
Second.
Backus? Mr. Gardner? Sigurd? Okay, aye. Okay, motion carries. Thank you. The agenda is amended. Report of standing committees. The Darlington Downtown Revitalization Association. Mrs. Rock.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The DDRA had a great turnout at our annual golf tournament on Wednesday, April 14th at Darlington Country Club, with 20 teams participating. The team of Lowe's Tow Bars and the Dairy Bar took first place, followed by Darlington County Water and Sewer Authority. Darlington County Economic Development Director Lewis Brown broke the third place tie in a putt-off between the Economic Development Partnership team and the PD Regional Transportation Authority teams. Thank you to Carolina Bank, Darlington Raceway, Nationwide Insurance, Fitness World Gyms, and MPD Electric for their support that makes this event possible each year. The DDRA will continue our monthly member breakfasts at 8 a.m. on Thursday, May 27th at Toppy's Diner. The meals are at no charge for members and a small $5 charge for others to attend to go towards the meal. And this event allows our businesses to build connections and strengthen our local economy, because if we don't support each other, nobody else will. Mark your calendars for the Taste of Darlington. I've got the flyer And the sign-up sheet, if you know somebody who might be interested in cooking, sponsoring, or in some way participating in the Taste of Darlington, it will be October 14th, Thursday, October 14th at Darlington Raceway. And since we didn't get to do it last year, we plan to make it a big turnout this year. In the meantime, we continue to promote Darlington and its businesses on social media and through our news alert system each week. Our alerts reach more than 2,700 people. We continually update our website, buildupdarlington.org, and you can go to buildupdarlington.org to submit information, to add to these weekly updates, to add calendar events, as well as to sign up to receive the alerts by text message or by email. DDRA membership is open to businesses, individuals, civic groups, and churches. Members can give us a call or send us an email, info@buildupdarlington.org, and we can feature their news, employee recognition, sales, new products, special hours, and other events with people interested in Darlington, as well as TV stations, radio stations, and newspapers through our news alert system. Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, the Greater Darlington Chamber of Commerce, Ms. Allen.
Good evening, Mayor and members of council. This past month, we had a ribbon cutting for one of our newest members, Florence Animal Hospital. Our new and returning members for this past month are the Perfect Start Child Care, they're a new member, Brockington Heights Apartments, Darlington County Humane Society, Darlington First Baptist Church. Our website has now been redone and is up and running, and we are getting ready to integrate with Growth Zone Chamber membership, which will allow our members to go in, edit their own information, and share member-to-member specials from their business. Freedom Fest is coming up on June 26th from 4 to 9 p.m. We will have amusement rides, food and retail vendors, live entertainment, and a fireworks finale, and it will all be held in the square in Darlington. Do you have any questions?
What's the date and the times for the Freedom Fest again?
June 26th is a Saturday from 4. The festival will go from 4 to 8:30, and then the fireworks will start at 9. And they should be able to be seen from most of Darlington.
Okay, thank you. All right, there were no one had signed up for wishing to speak tonight, so thank you. All right, number 7, unfinished business. We'll start with Mr. Andrews, RFQ for ball fields.
Good evening, folks. First off, I'd like to say how much I appreciate y'all working with me tonight. Although I just got a text that it was postponed, so we'll go ahead. The RFQ, we put out a proposal for a request for qualifications. Got 12 different companies that sent in their qualifications. Everything was due the 19th, 20th. Trying to think what day. I don't even know what day it is right now, but anyway, last month we got everything in. Got the 12 in. As soon as I got it, I emailed y'all all the information. It's a really hard decision because there is a bunch of good choices. I'd be honest with you, I didn't narrow it down to 1. I narrowed it down to 4.
Oh, good.
Just because they were the 4 that stuck out to me that had worked with municipalities our size.
Okay.
And had been doing ball fields / different areas such as skate parks, trails, frisbee golf courses. One of them even threw a go-kart track into the mix. So, I mean, we put it out there and got back exactly what we were wanting, which was a diverse group to give us ideas. But ultimately, it is up to y'all to make that final decision as far as do you wanna shortlist it? And I put it out there that we have shortlisted, which would give you time to explore a shorter list of the people that have, put their bids in, or are you ready to vote on one company tonight? With the 12 companies that we got, and I mean, this is just a sample of the type of packets that was sent in, so I mean, it's a lot of information to go through.
It is, I think one of them was like 76 pages.
Absolutely, absolutely. But I would encourage us, or you, to narrow it down, and then we can put it out, Ms. Pridgeon, tomorrow. We'll put an addendum on there that we have shortlisted, and we won't take any more proposals. But what it is we've shortlisted, and we're now delving into it a little bit deeper than what we have. And I'll leave that up to y'all. If you wanna make it 4, if you wanna make it 3, if you wanna make it 5, 6, it's totally up to you. But we've got to make a decision tonight as to either shortlist it, or, because on the website that we put it out, that there was gonna be a decision made tonight. So we need to make a decision tonight.
You're gonna provide us with the 4 that you chose?
So, did anybody else choose, anybody else go through and look at them and narrow down by chance?
I did.
I was doing look at it.
It was a lot.
It's a lot.
I did.
With my limited knowledge, I went down to like 3, but I didn't know how many we were gonna do, so I don't know if my 3 matched your 3, but I just wondered if anybody else did that so we could
It was
shortlist
just
it.
really hard, but I also did that.
I can
Yeah, well,
tell you what I've narrowed it down to, and if you wanna add to that, that's fine, or if you wanna take away from that, that's fine too. Cause you might have seen some stuff in that, some people that you've dealt with in the past as a city that you might not wanna, have anything to do with anymore for whatever reason. Or you might, say that, no, Lee, we need to add this one into it, and I'm fine with that. So, in no particular order, again, we'll say it the 3rd time, no particular order, this is the 4 that I picked. Keckenwood, Seaman Whiteside, Fitfields,
Yes.
and Mazingo
Zane
and Wallace
Wallace.
Architects LLC.
You got 2 of mine.
Got mine too.
Why don't we shortlist it? Our next work session, budget work session, we probably pull it in with that and discuss it, give us a little time to discuss it as a group. How far with that?
Yeah.
Is there anybody you would like to add that as you were cruising through these things that you want to put into that?
No, they were all very good.
They're all good, I think,
But
2
some
of
was a
mine
little-
match some of yours, so maybe and you said 2 of
Yeah,
yours
2 of
matched.
mine. 2 of mine matched the ones that I had selected. And then maybe the others, I can't remember all those names.
It's a lot of info.
Yeah.
There's a lot of info.
It
You
was.
go cross-eyed trying to.
I really appreciated how the details by which they provided to someone like, myself could appreciate and give me a good view.
This
of
is
what we were
this is a
getting.
lot of years of experience with whoever we pick. I mean, they've all done something from ball fields to walking trails to docks. I mean, everybody has done everything that we would want included out there. Just some have done more than others, and that's the only thing. That's what I based when I went through it, based my criteria on, is what they've done for others and how recently they've done some of the stuff and some of the places that they did it.
So if we agree to shortlist it, we don't necessarily have to choose the shortlist this
Tonight.
month, correct?
That, as far as that's the way I understand it, yes, sir. And we'll just have to, I'll get with Ms. Bridget in the morning and we'll add an addendum to the website that we have shortlisted it, send out, to who we have shortlisted it to, and let them know that they made a cut, so to speak, that we just had so much information that we couldn't get through it all in that period of time.
So should we send our list, if we have any ones we want to add to Ms. Bridget tomorrow?
Yeah,
Say
maybe
about
by
5 p.m.?
like 5 o'clock tomorrow. or
Well, I
something.
would do it a little bit earlier than that.
Okay.
I would do it by lunchtime
By
tomorrow,
lunchtime.
if you don't wanna do it tonight. please do it by lunchtime tomorrow so we can get it up, and that way it'll save her some heartache, because I'm
That's
sure they're gonna be knocking
Yeah.
down the door.
Let's do that. What do we need?
Yeah, so do we need a motion to do that?
I would
or
make a
what do we-
motion to do that, yes, sir.
So do I have a motion to, for us to make a short list and turn that into Mrs. Pridgeon by 12 o'clock tomorrow noon at lunch? For the
I'll motion to approve
RFQ, for the
My,
bond.
my only concern is if everybody is adding to this list, we're not gonna be shortlisted. We might be up to 7 or 8.
Well, we're still down to,
So
from
what?
20
I would prefer to,
to 12.
prefer to shortlist it tonight and let Ms. Pridgeon go forward.
And it may be that some of our choices may be among the board that you have, among the ones that we have.
Right, I mean,
You
you
know.
and I just said we had, he hit 2 of the ones that we had, so, I mean, is everyone prepared to do that now? Has everyone reviewed everything enough to make a short list now, other than what he talked about?
Well, we know what Lee has recommended. If there's some that we want to add on top of that, are we prepared to state it tonight? So that we know whether the 3 or 4 that he's talking about, the 4 he's talking about, are gonna have some others added to it. And do we want to keep expanding the list, or if we, add to his list, do we want to take off some of the people that he has recommended, so that we still end up with 4 or 5, and, you know, a real short list?
I hear what you're saying, John. My recommendation is to take the recommended ones, the 4 that Lee has presented.
That's fine with me.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what I was going to suggest, and,
Yeah.
you know, you get to know them, so now you can review those.
And that's fine.
Yeah,
I
that's-
just didn't want to get into that situation where all of a
Oh,
sudden,
I'm with you.
Everybody's
Ms.
okay with
Gloria
that?
had 3 more added to it.
The only reason I said that is because y'all may have gone through it and liked somebody better than those 4, and I'm fine with that.
Well, no, well, they are saying now, that being
Yeah,
on the
that's
2
fine.
of us.
I mean, I just wanted to be very clear, that was in no particular order.
Well, I think your job is to
You gotta help us with
educate
this.
us with that and help us, and it's a lot of material, as we know, so I don't have a problem doing it that way.
So do I have a motion to, Mr. Billy?
Since I started it,
Yeah.
I think
It's-
we accept the recommendations of Lee Andrews as our recreation director.
And I'll second that.
All right.
Mrs. Backus? Mrs. Reed? Mr. Gardner? Mr. Siggers? Aye. Okay, so motion carries to, submit the 4, companies that were for RFQ for the ball fields as a short list.
And again, thank y'all for considering that tonight, I appreciate, you don't know how much I appreciate that.
Lee,
Thank you.
one
Yes, sir.
quick question before you leave, just for refreshing my memory, is we have got hospitality type bonds, and we got some money set aside. But it
Yes.
seems like there was some restriction on that those funds needed to be spent in connection with this project by such and such.
When we did the bond, it had to be spent by June of this year. So we need to take a look at possibly either rolling that back over into it and, or spending it on something before it's
Some
gone.
hospitality qualifying.
Right. And I think, what was discussed before was rolling it back into, our hospitality fund, so to speak, paying it some kind of way. That was a little bit above my head when we were talking about it at that point in time. I don't wanna give no false information or anything wrong, but I know there's a way to roll it back in.
Well, if council is in agreement, can we ask Ms. Gloria just to check with Ben Ziegler as our bond attorney and find out what we got to do so we don't end up shooting ourselves in the foot?
Yes.
I guess that'd be 2 options. One would be rolling into the general fund, another one would be, getting a reissue. And I think we were looking at interest rates and whatnot as well.
Yeah.
I just,
Maybe just give them a couple options.
we need somebody who's a bond attorney to tell us what we can do.
Please, not the recreation director. Let's get them on.
You'll punt.
I'm putting on that one. Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, unfinished business, the second part.
Mayor, can we hold 1 second? We got to change over to
Okay.
back on this now. We're having technical issues. I don't know if it's the Wi-Fi or what it is. So I apologize. I love technology. The Wi-Fi's going in and out. We're good. We're good. We're back.
Okay, we're good? Now, come back up. Good. All right, thank you for getting us back up. Sorry for the delay. All right, under unfinished business for the first reading ordinance 2021-08 flood damage prevention ordinance. Mrs. Sheila Jones?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So, last council meeting, I presented this to you and nothing's changed. Everything stays the same. This is just gonna be the first reading, for the floodplain, ordinance change that DNR and, SCMD are requiring. So, if you have any questions on it, if you look through your packet, it's just some map dates that are changing, some definitions that are being taken out, some of the definitions are being changed. But they're required by DNR and SCMD to make those changes. So that's all in your packet. Okay.
Any question on that? We talked about last week.
All right. So what do you do?
I'll motion that we approve the first reading ordinance 2021-08 flood damage prevention ordinance.
I'll second it.
Mr. Milling? Ms. Backus? Ms. Reed? Mr. Seaver? Okay, aye. Thank you, Sheila.
Thank you.
All right, under unfinished business, first reading ordinance, 2021-07 vacant building, registration program. Mrs. Rock?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. As I presented last meeting, we are proposing a vacant building registration program so that the vacant structures will get registered with the Codes Enforcement Office and hopefully get occupied or fixed or sold. We don't believe all the citizens should pay for one person's neglect. And some of the comments that I've seen in the paper and online, it says different things about people already paying for things and we need to move businesses in. But my strategy has been, as businesses come to me and say they want to locate, and they say, well, where can I locate? That I can just move in, put up my sign, put my touches on the inside of your building and open. There were very few options for folks. Mayor Boyd knows that personally, and his personal business has bought and cleaned up several properties and filled them right away. So this is solving several different problems that we have. One of the other things that folks have mentioned is about getting access into the property. For codes enforcement and fire to enter into a vacant building, they have to have permission unless there's an imminent, obvious danger on the outside. This will, either those folks will, the property owners will pay their $400 registration fee or not want to pay $400 and want to get the reduced fee. And to do that, we have to inspect it to make sure it's safe for those neighboring property owners and the rest of the neighborhood. Because we want to have a safe community for our town and for our residents. And so, you know, people are still going to be allowed to keep their property. We're not trying to take anybody's property. It's going to be just a fee. And it's going to be a way for us to catalog what we have available and a way to keep our neighborhood's property values up, which will in turn benefit those property owners.
Had one business owner, citizen, give me a call, and their take on the proposed ordinance is, we've sort of got the club, can we look at another aspect of a carrot? They were mentioning, since part of the drive behind this ordinance is to make these buildings look better, and thus the community look better, instead of taking all of the fees and putting into the general budget, could we consider taking a portion of those fees and in essence dedicating them so that we do visual improvements around the square, that, you know, that beautification efforts be a part of what we do with these fees. The other question that they asked was, from a fiscal standpoint, were there any incentives that the city could provide in addition to what this contains about if you don't fix up? Is there any incentive package that could be sort of added here that would also not only tell people if you don't make these improvements, you're going to pay heavy, but also give them the opportunity that if you make these improvements, we have got some incentive package. I know we had like the awnings and the grant money at one point in time where we could help people.
There are three different points to make. The first is in 2016, City Council passed the Economic Development Incentives Program. And so that includes things, I think along the lines that you're talking about. And
I know we gave them some incentives if they were going to make an X amount of investment and we're going to hire so many people to work.
Either the two. Now that's sort of the bigger projects, I think. What you maybe is talking about are we have a facade grant through the DDRA, an improvement incentive grant, which is up to $1,000. It's not much, but it helps, and sometimes that's all you need, it's just a little help. The city in the past, in 2007, 2008, had a building improvement grant that was run through the planning department. It is a separate function than this, and I think it probably should stay that way. Now, the building improvement grant that the city had, that's up to council to put money in that line item on the budget. And we can certainly do that, and at the end of the year, see how much funds, how many fees we do collect, and say that's how much money you collected in this vacant building program, and so you can dedicate that additional funding in the general budget to beautification efforts, or sidewalks, or lighting, or whatever the need might be. Now, in talking with other towns, municipalities that have done this, the compliance rate's not great. So I don't expect this is gonna be any kind of giant windfall for the city. And of course, we do hope that people will fix their building up so they only pay a very minimal fee. And then we have places that businesses can move into, or residents can move into. Because that's the goal. We don't wanna have to have Ms. Sheila come up here and have a list of buildings to demolish. We'd prefer that we stop this earlier in the process before it gets to that point.
But these other programs are separate programs. Is there some way that in this ordinance, or would it be appropriate to reference those, so if somebody's looking at the club, they can also realize we've got carrots out there?
Well, I think they're completely different things. I don't know that you'd want to necessarily attach them, because this council may say that we want it to go towards paving a street. The next council may say we want to do sidewalks in a particular commercial area, or add sidewalks, or plant trees in an area. I mean, I think there's a lot of ways you can use this money to improve the business climate, that I would hate to pigeonhole it and force you to spend it on one particular thing, when there are many things that you could use. You know, having an extra officer on the street, you know, if it ends up in that budget, you know, that helps those businesses. So I don't know that dedicating the small amount of money that this is gonna be, if it's 100 properties at $100 a piece, if everybody, you know, fixes up their building, you're talking $10,000. And that's assuming 100% compliance. $10,000 is not a lot of money to do any of those kinds of projects.
So if it's not compliant, then what's the enforceability of it?
Well, it's just like anything else. I mean, you
They
can
do what they don't.
add the fee to their property taxes and all that sort of thing.
Lisa,
But we hope that we don't have to get to that stage.
Right.
Lisa, you mentioned that in other municipalities that are participating in this, do you have any kind of feedback as to any success with it, or what kind of success has been?
Now, Columbia,
this is what-
City of Columbia just instituted it in 2019, so it's a little newer, and then they got COVID, so it's not
Yeah,
really
it shows.
a good example. Sumter's been doing it longer, for about 5 years, and they've had good success. Some folks in the upstate have done it. The whole concept is, you know, making sure that people are taking care of what they have, and giving us another way to get people to fix up what they have. Right now, all we have is code enforcement can, you know, send something, if there's something disastrously wrong, you know, that it needs to be demolished. But do we want to wait till every property gets to that point where it's going to be insanely expensive and not feasible financially for anybody to take over a property? We'd rather than get to it when it's still at a state that it can be profitable.
Well, if it's anything, the tour we went on in Sumter indicated that whatever they were doing, it really made the city look better. It looked really good. And as
They've
they
done a lot of
explained
work.
in so many areas, what they had done, what they brought back, that was truly like rundown areas.
Well, and it's
We're now thriving.
a small thing, but a lot of small things add up. And
My take on it is, as a homeowner association, there's a lot of homeowner associations that have deteriorated away, and they moved into a home, and they want their homes to maintain that value. And then the homeowner association goes away, and nobody enforces anything, and nobody collects any money, and the housing development looks rough compared to what they wanted, okay? Whatever their expectations were at the beginning. The city of Darlington, number one, has buildings that have been, and I will use the word kidnapped. There are buildings sitting beside another building, adjacent to it, right beside it, that you can't get in, that has been vacant for years. The owners won't talk to you, the owners don't want to sell it, they just sit on it for whatever particular reason. The fire marshal, the codes department cannot enter that building. Is the building good? Is it in bad shape? Does it catch on fire? It takes our city, makes our city look bad, because when people come through our town, a vacant building is okay, but lots of vacant buildings start making us look like we're a ghost town. We have lots of vacant buildings that have been left abandoned by whomever, whether they live off or live close by. But then to that point, they become unsafe also, because we can't get into the building to see if it's going to catch on fire, and so therefore we're not allowed to go in. So this ordinance will allow that. This ordinance is not, and for the public out and the citizens to see, this ordinance is not so that we can buy people out at a cheap rate. We want people to fix their property up so that our town, your town, the city of Darlington, the beautiful city of Darlington, is maintained and a beautiful city for people to live through. And until we maintain order and this code is enforced, and we can pass this tonight, and it's worthless unless it is enforced. The officers that drive through our town are worthless if they don't enforce and stop people for speeding when they come through our town, but they do their job correctly. And so this also needs to be done correctly, and we're not here to collect fines and fees on people to make $10,000. We make $10,000 a year off that. That might buy a few canopies, that might help out the downtown part of the Darlington. But most people don't want to pay anything extra. So you have to do something to try to get their attention. And to my understanding is, the fee is $400 per se. If you go in there and the building has been vacant for just a month, and I'm sure if they go to the inspector or whoever's in charge of this, and they say, I'm getting ready to rent this out, they're not going to be charged $400, they can charge $100 or whatever that fine. But the goal behind this is to encourage people to not sit on something and say, oh, well, I've got a gold mine here, I bought it for this amount of dollar, now I want to sell it for 5 times that amount, which is one of the things that's happening in our town. And then they sit on it and don't care what it looks like. They just let it sit there. There's other ones that they just sit on, don't even put a for sale sign in. There's houses that sit there people don't own, and they just let it sit there. So again, we've got to enforce some law and some ordinance so that our city can grow and be maintained in a proper manner. This is a minimal fee. We don't want it, we're not here to collect the $400 just so we can make money. We're not here to force anybody out. We're here to help people. There are, the grants for the DDRA. You can spend a little bit of money, but a lot of times people don't want to spend the money. But there's people out there that don't do that. There's people out there that do it and make the buildings look better. But there are people constantly calling, wanting to rent buildings. But then if the building's sitting there and it continues to sit there, then again it goes on the list. And then I go by hollering and fussing at Sheila about there, can we tear this building down because it looks awful? And I don't want to tear buildings down. I want them to be repaired. As Mrs. Rock said, I purchased 2 buildings after 15 years of arguing and fussing with the landowner that lived in North Carolina for the 15 years that I rented the building. He never stepped foot on my property. Okay, the buildings were at the point of being torn down, but we were able to finally take the money and get them up and save them. And now one of them has just opened up and is doing well, doing great. And so hopefully we'll get the other one up real soon also. So the ability is there, but again, there needs to be something enforced. And again, this is we give the codes department, the fire department, also the means to get into the buildings to see what's going on, so that the person that is beside that building invested their whole life and business and time doesn't have to get caught on fire, and our firemen don't have to run down there and take a chance of getting caught on fire and somebody dying. Okay, so that's my take on it.
A few short years
Long
ago,
past due.
a few short years ago, we had one building catching on fire and it took 4 buildings out on our square. So this is a long time issue, and this in my mind is one way to hopefully solve the future liabilities of the city and of the surrounding buildings.
The building that we tore down that now is getting ready to become 28 townhouses. I stood in that building and fussed about that it was never inspected because it was full of TVs up to here. And so thank goodness for 9 more people jumping in and helping us get that building down. There's a lot more buildings as you drive through down South Main Street. And and I would like to reiterate, there is a lot more to our town than the city square. I own a piece of property on the city square, but our city goes all the way out to Walmart down the south side of town. Okay, our city goes all the way out to the other side of Clanton's Auto Auction toward the racetrack direction, down North Main Street, down Castro Street. Our city is approximately 4 square miles, okay? So, you know, if we do collect $10,000, it ain't gonna do a whole lot. But again, we can use it to do something with, to make the town look better, if we collect these fees. And I agree with Mr. Milling, some of these fees should, or all the fees should go into some type of bank or line item to go to our citizens that are open to try to make their buildings or whoever look better. But, you know, our town is growing, and I'm proud of what we have, and I just look forward to making it better. So do I have a motion to approve the first reading of the ordinance 2021-07 vacant building registration program?
I'll motion that we approve first reading ordinance I'll motion that we approve the first reading ordinance 2021-07 vacant buildings registration program.
I'll second it.
Mr. Milling? Ms. Bax? Ms. Reed? Mr. Sayers? Aye.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, Ms.
County
Ross.
Council.
Let's see, okay, get everything out of there. I ain't missed nothing on unfinished business since I know we got it all jumbled there, correct? See, okay. He's at the top. Okay. Thank you, Sean. Mr. Gaines, the garbage bids.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Y'all should have in front of you 2 pieces of paper that have 2 different spreadsheets on it. After our budget work session last week, I was asked to get the numbers for capital waste and make sure that the proposal that capital waste put on the table, they would honor. And basically what that proposal was, whenever we received bids, we received 3 different bids, one from Capital, one from Republic, and one from Palmetto. Capital and Republic were our 2 lowest bids, so we needed to decide between those 2, and we started looking at the numbers. And I'll go over that in a minute, but anyway, y'all asked me, we went back and talked to Capital and Republic, or they actually approached us, and both of them came up with a something that may help the city. Republic's solution was to basically put it out to do an exclusive contract to be able to pay the city, you know, however much we decide, and do it that way, and they would deal with the commercial properties themselves. Capital Waste came back and said that they would be willing to honor the current rates that we're paying now for 6 months, so that we didn't have to worry about doing a rate increase, at least for 6 months. So like I said, the spreadsheet that has 2 different, or the paper that has 2 different spreadsheets on it, that's going to be Capital Waste. That's their proposal. So if you look at the current rates, or the top box, it has current rates and what they're proposing for the first 6 months, which with that we would profit, or we would put into our account to be able to use for personnel use or whatever. Because like I said before in the executive or the budget work session, we have a lot of man hours that goes into this with fixed rate report and everything else. So we didn't need to do it and just break even. We needed to try to get something. If we were going to continue to do that, we were going to need to get something out of it to compensate the city for the time that we have to put into it. So what they proposed, in honoring our current rates for the first 6 months, their monthly charge would be a little over 17,000. Our income is a little over 27,000, which is a difference of a little over 10,000. So that's about 10,000 that we would see that we could put towards, what we have to do on our behalf for this contract. Over a 6-month period, that's about $61,000. Then after the first 6 months, then they would go into the rates that they proposed, which was $3.40 per cubic yard for the dumpsters. The bottom spreadsheet shows that reflects those rates. So at the end of the first year, we would be to the good of $40,000 if we went with capital waste. And if you look over at Republic, theirs is just based on from day one, they propose $3.35 a cubic yard, which is a cheaper rate per cubic yard, but with capital honoring our current rates for the first 6 months, that helps offset the difference so that we're not in the negatives at the end of the first year. But if you look at it, at the end of the first year, at our current rates, if we didn't do a rate increase for the first year, then we would be in the red $7,000, a little over $7,000. On top of that, capital waste, their proposal was first 6 months honor our current rates, second 6 months go to the rates that they proposed in the bid packet. Year 2 would not be a rate increase. Year 3, 4, and 5 would be a 2.5% rate increase.
Incrementally or total? Incrementally or total?
It'd be 2.5% across the board each year.
Each year.
Yeah, each year. So, the first year we know what it'd be. Second year would basically be at the $3.40 a cubic yard, and then 2%, 2.5% each year thereafter for the next 3 years after year 2. Republic proposed $3.35 a cubic yard. Starting year 2, they would do a 3% rate increase every year for the next 4 years. So it would be, the 5-year contract, they would go up 4 different years at 3%. So, like I told y'all before, when you look at the numbers over the 5-year period, by far capital waste is the better way to go with these numbers. So, I put this together for you to look at. We do need to make a decision because our contract is up with with Republic June 30th. So if we decide that we want to enter into a contract with Capital Waste, we need to let them know because they've got to get boxes. They've got to make sure they get everything lined up so they can make the transition and have it done by June 30th.
So the rate that you got, the first 6 months, they wouldn't go up, the rates would stay the same. Second 6 months, the $40,000 you got, we would lose $20,000. That's assuming that the second 6 months we didn't go up on our rates.
That's, if we don't go up on our rates second 6 months, then we would go in the hole for that 6 months, $20,000.
And the second 6 rates, they're going up how much over the board?
Then
How much are they going up percentage-wise over the board?
the second year, they don't go up at all.
I'm talking about the second 6 months.
The second 6 months, they're going to their rate of $3.40 per cubic yard.
If we didn't have a rate change at the end of the 6 months, the second 6 months, then we're looking at going in the hole like $40,000.
No. We would be to the good $40,000.
That's at the end of the first year.
That's the first year. Now the
But
second
beginning of
year,
the second year, since we're losing $20,000 in the second 6 months, I was just wondering if that translated into $40,000 for an entire year.
actually I ran the numbers today and I didn't put that on here and I apologize, but it's
$40,822.
huh?
$40,822.
Yeah, that's about right. I would say about $41,000 is what we would, if we didn't do a rate increase at all, that's what we would, be in the negatives the second year. My recommendation would be, if we go with capital, is in 6 months start looking at what we need to raise the rates up to, and do a rate increase incrementally. Sir?
At that point, it will have been a year basically since we went up on the rate.
That's right. Well, actually, go a little bit, that's right. So, and then look at it and figure out what we need to go up and then how much we'll need to go up each, every year to be able to stay.
And the issue that we had this time, nobody likes for anybody to go up. We don't want to go up. But that issue that we had this time is that when we went up, because in the past they hadn't been going up. And so then all of a sudden they just threw the frog into the fire pit. And so the council, whether I'm here or anybody else is here from here out, needs to always look at continuously, because they're going to continue to go up on us. We're going to have to continue to go up to stay with to where we're making profit, in the profit margin. So again, I would propose that we look at it again in 6 months, before the 6 month period when they go up, and where we need to be. But to me, that seems like a lot better. It gives us 6 more months to get it prepared. Without having to go up on anybody.
If you look at the rates, just for instance, right now, a 2 yard, one dump a week is $41.49 what we're paying. But with the new rates that they're proposing, that's actually gonna go down to $29.44. But when you look at the 6 and 8 yards, that's where you really see the jump at.
We're somewhat caught between the rock and the hard spot. Seems like we almost have to accept capital because Republic puts us in a bigger hole than capital.
That's right. I mean, capital's what gives.
And they, like I said,
They're
they,
willing to commit to this for 5 years, correct?
yeah, 5 years, and one thing that Capital has stressed is they don't charge overage charges. And that's where we get a lot of our complaints is, you know, Republic's been burning us up on overage charges for our customers. And we pass that on to the customer, but that's where we get a lot of our complaints. And Capital has assured me that they do not charge overage charges on any of their accounts. So we wouldn't have to worry about that. So even though we would be going up eventually, a lot of our customers that have been seeing overage charges, it'd actually be cheaper for them in the long run because they wouldn't have to worry about
Just
it.
make sure they put that big bold print. Guys, would you like to vote on this tonight?
Yeah.
You need to make a decision so that we can let the two vendors know.
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve the new contract with capital.
Capital Waste Services.
See whether or not I get a second.
I second.
Did you say your second? Mr. Nettles?
Yes.
Mrs. Dacus? Mrs. Reed? Mr. Gardner? Okay. Aye. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Motion carries. Transfer the trash, garbage, commercial bids to, Capital Waste. Starting as of
July 1st.
July 1st. Starting as of July 1st, 2021. Okay, thank you, Alex. Okay, that's all the unfinished business. New business. Bid award for city vehicle ads. Lisa?
As requested, we put out for bid the cost to install and design ads that would be placed on sanitation vehicles, like the trash truck and the cherry picker and that sort of thing. The two bids that we received, one was from Signs Plus Systems of Darlington at $23,000, and News and Press of Darlington came in at $3,120.
News and Press.
The only two bids I got,
News and Press doesn't do decals, do they?
through Herald Office, their parent company. And those are the two bids that we received.
I'm assuming they were bidding the same specs,
Yeah,
there's a lot of difference.
yeah,
Did you say 3,000 or 31?
3,000.
3,000.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, give us both of the numbers again,
Yeah.
please.
23,000 and 3,120.
Okay, let's make sure we're clear on how this is going to be executed.
Yeah, I understand this, I'm just saying that's what they,
Yeah, I don't know why
This
you
was
don't
my
see what's
proposal.
going on there.
This was my proposal for us, the idea. So here's what I'm trying to find out. L&L Law Firm says that they want to put an ad on the side of the picker truck. We should have a bid from one of these companies saying what it's going to charge to put that ad on the side of the picker truck.
correct.
L&L Law Firm should then, if it's, I'm just gonna use a round number, $500 to put a sign on both sides of the, or one side, whichever, both sides of the picker truck. L&L Law Firm should be then charged the $500 to put it on there, and X amount of dollars, let's say, another $300 a month for advertising, and the city gets that $300 a month for advertising on the side of the pickup truck. And
That's the concept. This is just to get the company that would actually do
right.
the design and installation of the ads.
Okay.
This is not the whole
Yeah, this is not
tamale
gonna
of-
cost the city anything to do.
You would in turn, I'll have to come
Charge
back
it.
to council and with a rate sheet based on whichever bid you choose to go with.
Right. But I'm saying that at no time will this cost the city anything. If you go to L&L Law Firm and they wanna put a sign on the side of a truck and that
Right, we
sign
would be
costs
getting that from the
$500
advertiser.
up, nobody would go to Business Prison and say, I need $500 to put a sign on the side of a truck. You would carry Business Prison a check for $500 plus X amount of dollars for whether they do a 1-month contract or a 12-month agreement to Business Prison, and then Business Prison would write a check to whichever
The
company
print.
would choose to put it on the truck.
Yes.
So make sure everybody's clear on that. That's the way I present it.
That is
Make
the
sure
way
it's
that,
right. So that this is at no cost to the city for whichever way you pick, for whoever's gonna do the work. Of course, we want the person that's gonna do the work to where L&L Law Firm's not being cheated for putting a high dollar, they charge too much to put something on the side of the truck and they won't wanna do it. We want to put on there correctly and appropriately, but as low a cost as we can to the person coming advertising.
So these bids, these two.
That is
who
to
bid?
put a 8 or 10 foot graphic on the 6 trucks of the
And so,
sanitation.
going along with what the Curtis is saying here, so what's this cost? They're gonna pay us? That the city don't have any cost here? I thought this is for,
So, okay,
I mean-
Elaine, you have a business, let's say. Your business wants to advertise on the garbage truck for, whatever your business is. And so you would pay the city X amount of dollars. We would go to whichever vendor you've selected. You would pay the city, the business will pay the city, the amount, whatever that amount is that we determine.
right.
And the city pays the vendor, the company
let's see.
to put the ad on there.
That's the part I wanted to get straight what this is, so that's
And
what I
that's
was
what we
saying,
are
because he
paying
said there's no
for.
cost, but
But
we,
there isn't really a cost, because we're gonna be making, because obviously, our rate, what we would charge the business is gonna be more than what the vendor is charging us.
I got you, but I'm still saying, I'm just going, that the city, this is a responsibility of the city to pay the
Yes,
group.
the
of
city will have to write a check
the
to
group
the
that
printer.
actually puts the
Yes,
the
ma'am.
signs on there.
Yes, ma'am.
We pay that,
Right,
right?
We won't pay them until they paid us.
right.
But, well, no, because we're gonna decide that between the bids here
Yeah.
as to what that fee will be, what we will pay them.
What we will pay
pay
the
them.
installer, but not
And so
what the
these two
business will
bids-
pay the city.
No, I'm not into that, just what we got going here tonight, these two bids here.
Yep, this is all
To
we
me,
got.
that's all I'm referring to.
Yes.
And so I want to just be clear about this, that the charge to us from that vendor is $3,000 as opposed to the $23,000.
What were the different sizes? Do you have all that?
That was it.
I just added up the
Such a-
6 different trucks,
Okay, so we have 6
And-
trucks.
6 trucks, two garbage trucks, recycling, street sweeper, cherry pickers,
What were
2
the
cherry
sizes
pickers.
what were the sizes of the
8
signs?
foot and 10 foot, and
8 foot by what?
the other, first bidder included a very high labor cost for installation, of $2,000 or $3,000 for each sign. The news and press said that the installation wasn't gonna cost extra.
Right.
They included the installation in there.
What's the sizes of the sign?
8 foot by 4 foot, 10 foot by 4 foot,
Okay, how many 8x4s do you have?
4. They're $480 each. And then the 10 foot by 4 is $600.
How many 10x4s do you have?
2.
2? So it's a total of 6 signs is all you have?
Mhm.
There were 6 trucks, right?
Yeah, 6 trucks, that's
So
what we have.
Is it 1 sign per truck or 2 signs per truck?
One sign per truck is what this is based off of.
So we're only doing one side of the truck?
We can do both sides, but this is how much it costs them to
To
put,
do it, right.
what they're gonna
However it
charge
is.
us for putting the 8-foot or 10-foot, whichever sign.
So
On-
8 foot by 4 foot, what do they quote to do an 8 by 4?
News and Press quoted $480. Signs Plus quoted $600 for the, decals, but $3,000 for the installation.
A 4 by 8 sign? I don't think everybody's,
You don't think they're comparing apples to apples?
I don't think none of them are comparing apples to apples. Most material, and for the record, I do not own out of the world screen printing. But, for the record, most installers charge $15 a square foot pretty much to install material. Now, according if it's up on the side of a truck, they may charge a little bit more for warranty wise, so, 8 by 4 is 32 square feet times $15, is $480. That's where the $480 comes from, News and Press. So News and Press's numbers are correct. The other number, I don't know what they're thinking, where he's coming from with that number.
So
They
did
charge
we,
$3,000 to install inside a truck, so I'm not sure if they compared the right apples to that.
did we solicit any other bids, or this is all that we got?
This is all that we received. I had other calls, but they did not submit.
And see, on me, this vast difference, and that's all that we're having to do. I mean, I don't see why we are in this discussion.
Yeah,
I mean,
if
I just don't
if they're
see
both
why,
going
y'all-
from the same schematics and the same criteria, then I agree with you. I mean, but we just need to,
But if the first company doesn't do the proper job, then we can take it from that company and go look for another job.
Yeah, but, 3,000 to 23,000.
but at the end of the
The
day,
deliberation,
the
yeah.
city doesn't absorb any of the costs. It all goes, the cost is passed on to the.
Correct, at the same time though, I don't wanna go to Genesis Healthcare and say, I can put your sign on the side of the truck, and that's gonna cost you $3,000 to put it on the side of the truck either. So we wanna make sure but again, at the same time, we don't wanna have somebody put it on the side of the truck and it's all crooked and wrinkled up
Right.
either. So we wanna make sure that we're putting a reputable company out there, but yet at the same time, purpose of this bid would be to make sure that we get it as cheap as we can for the average person, the company's advertising on the side of the truck.
I mean, is it too much to
There
ask if
is-
we just can confirm it?
This is,
The News and Press, the
this
News
is
and
the,
Press bids,
News and
that's,
Press bid is, this is
$15 square foot,
the
that's
sample that they,
I'm not saying.
photograph of what they're working.
Yeah, me too. It's everything lovely.
Now, if you don't count the Signs Plus installation, it's still gonna be more because of $600 and $800 for the two sizes.
For
So-
for the $3,000 charge, that covers all 6 of the vehicles, designing for anybody who wants to advertise, and installing for anybody who wants to advertise.
It'll be charged per, like, obviously, we may not have all 6 trucks that would have advertising on them. We may only have 1 truck that gets advertising. And so
that
it would be,
1/6 of the 30.
it would be, yeah, it would be that, depending on the size, if it was the 480 or the 600.
And we can, if people complain about the work that's provided by News and Press, then we can take it away from them. There's no set time that they've got this deal for.
No, not if we're unhappy with the work, I would not say so.
At $3,120, they're still making money.
Yeah.
All right.
And I'm assuming this is like, we get one contract like you're mentioning, and it's the 8 by 4, we'll charge the News and Press $480. And let's say in 6 months, another guy wants to put an advertisement on that same truck.
This will be for each
We
time
would
they change it.
Charge them $480, or they charge us $480.
Yes.
So this 3,000 could be 6,000, but it's the rate of,
Is how many we actually end up selling.
if y'all don't mind, I'm,
So when we selling this, do they get to put the sign on the side of the truck for 1 month or for how long?
Those determinations have not been, we haven't filed that all out. We just first had to get a cost.
The way it should work is that
Generally,
Lisa or
those,
someone should go to the company and offer them a 1-month agreement at X amount of dollars, 12 months agreements at another X amount of dollars. Like the billboard signs, if L&L Law Firm decides to put that on the side of the truck and it costs them it will cost L&L Law Firm $480 plus whatever the city charges to be on the side of that truck. Then, if 2 months, they do a 3-month contract, then they pay $480 to put that sign up there for 3 months, and they lose that money. So the longer they leave that up there, that's the less they have to pay out. Now, that sign could last them 2 or 3 years. They wouldn't have to pay that extra $480, they could just pay the advertisement fee. But again, in 3 months later, the law firm may decide they want to put it up there, but take a different picture up there, they're going to have to pay another $480 to put it up there.
Right.
They have to pay the installation fee.
I'd like the motion that we approve the news and press for the bid award of the city vehicle ad for $3,000.
I second.
$3,100.
$3,120, please.
Mr. Mills?
Yes.
Mr. Siggers? Mr. Mills, excuse me. Mrs. Backus? Mr. Siggers? All right. Thank you, Lisa. All right, so motion approved for the bid award for city vehicle ads to the bid of $3,120 to the news and press. All right, Lisa, bid award for pond clearing at a sports complex.
Yes, Mayor. So we also put out for a request for bids on this sports complex property. There is about 2-acre pond that is accessible easily by car. I can take anyone to it if they'd like to see it, and it has a great opportunity for fishing and for us to have events out there, especially given the COVID situation and not being able to have indoor events as much as we have previously. We discussed clearing the banks of the pond so that you can have a fishing rodeo. DNR does these rodeos. Sometimes they'll provide the fish to stock the ponds. They also have come out there and tested the pond to see what's there. They're going to come back in June and they're going to map the entire contours of the pond so that we have some idea what the habitat is and that sort of thing. Now, to do any kind of event, we would have to clear the banks. There's woods and brush that have kind of grown up all the way to the edge. We had beautification and recreation folks out there trying to clear it, and we just don't have the tools to do that job, considering how many feet you're talking about. And of course, it's ball season now, so recreation has other tasks to do. So we put this out for bid, and we received 3 bids. We actually had 4 companies come out to the site meeting to walk the site, and we had 3 interesting bids. The first bid we received, Industrial Paving of Darlington, $148,500. The second bid we received was Arbor Works of Hartsville, $22,000. And the third bid we received was Trees R Us out of Florence at $7,500. Can't make this stuff up.
I see. Just don't see all these differences.
Yes. Mr. Sears.
They're gonna remove the undergrowth, brush and all that, they take it to dumps too.
They're gonna rime the stumps, mulch it in place, so that we have some sort of barrier for the weeds too, so we don't have to be constantly cutting it.
Sure, it'll probably eventually be grassed over.
Eventually it'll get grassed over, and of course, depending on how the sports complex design goes, will kind of affect that. Now, on your, in your packet, you can see a copy of, you can kind of see the map of the pond. And we're gonna do, it's a little over 1,000 linear feet. We're gonna leave this upper portion to, supply the habitat for the wildlife. We'll leave that, and of course, any trees that are over 48 inches in diameter breast height are weed saved as well.
So their bid is just to clean and clear around the.
They are just clearing right around about 10 foot from the water. Enough room to cast.
Trees R Us typically does a lot of your.
Trees R Us typically does a lot of work. Arborworks of Hartsville, I've not heard bad things about. I've heard good things about all these companies.
I'd like to motion that we approve the bid for Trees R Us at Florence for $7,500 to clear around the pond.
Second that.
Can I ask a question before we get on there? Because these funds are coming from the hospitality.
This would have to be hospitality.
All right, do we have a first and a second, Mr. Milling? Ms. Backus? Ms. Reed? Stiggers? Okay, aye. Okay, motion carries for Trees R Us of Florence for $7,500 to do the clearing around the property on the ball field, 151 around the pond structure.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. All right, under new business, C, budget amendment to transfer $361.01 from 510-382 to line item 510-383, which has $664.99 budgeted for computer purchase. For municipal court clerk is $1,026.
Yes, the municipal court clerk, she needed a new computer, but she didn't have enough money in her office machines, line item, but she did have enough money in furniture and fixtures, and I'm requesting that we move $361.01 from that line item to her office machine line item to make a total of $1,026, so we can pay for that computer.
I'll make a motion that we approve that transfer of $361.01 from line item 510-382 and add it to line item 510-383, so that we'll have a total of $1,026 for the computer purchase.
I'll second.
Mr. Nettles?
Aye.
Ms. Backus? Mr. Carter? Mr. Stiggers? Okay. Aye, thank you. All right, do I have a motion for ordinance 2021-05 to amend business license period to May 1st to April 30th?
And you all remember when Mr. Barano came from the Municipal Association, talking about standardization of the business license ordinance? This is what this is. It's changing our, from a calendar year to May 1st to June 30th.
June 30th or April 30th?
Sorry, April 30th.
So
May 1st.
it really should say license period from May 1st to April 30th. It's currently May 1st.
It's currently right now on the calendar year, but the new year will be May 1st to April 30th.
Okay.
I'd motion that we approve ordinance 2021-05 to amend the business license period to May 1st to April 30th.
Second.
Okay. Mr. Milling, seconded, I believe. Mr. Nettles? Mrs. Backus? Ms. Reed? Mr. Sigurds? Okay. Aye. Thank you. Motion carries. I do have a motion for ordinance 2021-06 to amend the city code of ordinance, chapter 22, article 2, section 22-29, duration of license.
Okay, and this will be to amend the actual ordinance in our ordinance book.
I'll motion that we approve ordinance 2021-06 to amend the city code of ordinances, chapter 22, article 2, section 22-29, duration of licenses.
Second.
Okay. Mr. Nettles?
Yes.
Mr. Milling? Ms. Backus? Mr. Sigurds? Aye, thank you, motion carries. All right, new business F, LED lighting conversion. We spoke about this a little bit before from Duke Energy about the lights that they put up at the South Main Street out by the food line. Most everybody was in agreement with those lights. to convert the whole city. It will not happen right this moment if we agree on it. We have to get in line with the other cities that are doing that. Also, a lot of the stuff that they have on the shelf now, when they're updating, is outdated. We're outdated now, so we're trying to get everything updated to better LEDs, which would be what you've seen out there at Food Line on 52 Bypass and South Main. The upfront conversion was $8,450. My understanding when we talked with the auditor the other day, that we would have the money as of this year. Again, I'm not sure if we can earmark that, Mrs. Pritchard. Okay, we can earmark it. Okay. It may be a month, it may be 6 months before Duke Energy actually starts on that and asks for the money up front to change that. But that would still put all the same things, the light going down. She suggested that we look at our light ordinance as far as updating our light ordinance also. We need to look at that in a workshop session later. But I was asking to see if you wanted to go ahead and vote to approve that for this year, for them, so we can get in line to update the lighting for the city.
Just for clarity, that 8,000 will be coming out of the big fund?
Now, the city would have to pay that, correct? The city's have to pay that. That's not the big fund. This doesn't have to do with the above ground to underground wiring. This is all the lighting that we have currently. This is not to add additional lighting. This is just to update the lighting that they've done. They went through the other day and changed a lot of the lights that were already out. But to upgrade everything to the new LED lighting, it would be an upgrade of $8,450. And those lights are the same lights that they put out at 52 and South Main.
And this is, just to be clear, that's
Yes,
all
sir.
lights everywhere in the city.
Yes,
And a one-time fee?
at a one-time fee. And it was going to give us a savings of $95.42 a month. So this is what she gave us.
In 10 years. Therefore, I will motion that we approve the LED lighting conversion, $8,450.
I'll second it.
Mr. Millie? Mrs. Backus? Mrs. Reed? Mr. Siggers? Okay, aye. All right, thank you. So, for the LED lighting conversion for Duke Energy to change all the lighting out at a cost of $8,450 for the upfront fee to change all the lighting for the city of Darlington. All right, thank you. All right, department heads, any questions from department heads? Anything in your packets there?
I can do mine here in council comments, but we have a couple job openings that we have advertised right now. I was under the impression that they were advertising the Municipality Association's website, and I went on there the other day, and the only thing I can find is the police officer position advertised. So I'd just like to ask that we advertise all of our job openings on the municipality website, any of the relevant job posting websites that are out there, just like we did for our city manager position.
Okay. Where are they all posted at? Typically Indeed, and we typically do it on Indeed and the city website. Where else?
City website, Municipal Association, the water director, I believe is what you're discussing. I put up there today.
Okay.
I didn't have that. It wasn't sent to me. Indeed website, we have an account with them, and we also put the city manager position on LinkedIn.
Could we put the water department position on LinkedIn as well?
We can.
Thank you.
They all need to be on all the same areas, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gardner. Any other questions? Okay. Any council comments? All right. Very good. The city of Darlington has a lot going on. We have some stuff coming in from Senator Malloy that we'll be able to discuss further. For some grants, we've got some discussion with coming up with the county also with some additional grants. So there's a lot of places also coming up and opening, and a lot going on in Darlington. So, we appreciate everybody's support and help. Stay with us and we will grow and be strong. All right, we're going to go into executive session, telephone system, security issue for the city, leasing or sale of the city property, the MASC council interview process for city manager, city personnel. The city of Darlington may or may not vote after executive session. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
Mayor, I move that we go into executive session.
Okay, Mrs. Dykes? Mrs. Reed? Mr. Carter? Mr. Siggett? Aye. Okay, thank you. And we may or may not vote after the session. We'll call you back.